Hello guys, I was watching this movie Land Man with what's his name, Billy Bob Thornton, and where they're working on oil rigs and all that, and it reminded me of a client that I've had years ago. It was a couple in their early 20s, and they had a life policy, and I was working on labs policy. So I tried to renew the life insurance policy after it lapsed, and somehow I miscommunicated or didn't educate the client enough. And all right, so hopefully I can get this to fit all in one video. So I felt really, really bad for this young couple in their early 20s. Their policy lapsed, and I tried to get it renewed. Apparently, I didn't educate them enough, or I didn't do a good job explaining how important it is for them to have a life insurance policy. A few months go by, and the wife calls me, and she tells me that her husband died on an oil field, which really broke my heart. And I felt really guilty since that day, not doing a good job educating my clients, and now I try every single day. I feel like it's my duty to educate everyone on how important life insurance. You don't have to die to use life. Okay guys, I think I switched my timer to 90 minutes or 90 seconds so I can put in this whole story. So I showed up at these younger couple that are in their early 20s to renew their life insurance policy, and somehow I wasn't explaining myself thoroughly, and they didn't move forward with it. Her husband worked for a her husband worked on the oil field, and a couple months later she calls me up, and she said she got remarried, because it wasn't a couple months, I don't know, it was a few months down the road, and she mentioned to me about her with getting remarried, and I said, what happened? And she said her husband died on the oil field. And I felt so bad that I didn't explain myself enough to show them how important it is to have a life insurance policy. But anyway, when she got remarried, she made sure to get a life insurance policy with her new husband, and I felt so guilty that I was. All right, let me try this again. So I stopped over these young people's house trying to help them renew their life insurance policy. And apparently I didn't work hard enough, and they weren't convinced to renew it. But a month or two later, the wife called me, and she said her husband died on an oil field, which made me feel so guilty. I'll never forget that story. And she had just gotten remarried, and she said she wanted to start a new life policy with her new husband. So guys, please. All right, let me try this again. So she stopped over. You guys have to watch previous videos. So a couple months later, she called me, and she has a new husband. And I'm like, what's going on? I thought they got divorced. But she said, no, her husband died on the oil field. And it made me feel so guilty that I didn't actually sign him up for the life policy. So she showed up with her new husband, and she made sure to get a life insurance policy to protect him in the event something happened. Guys, tomorrow's not promised. Accidents and All right, let me try this the fourth time. So this young couple, they're in early 20s. They had a lapse policy, which means they forgot to make a payment on it. And I went over there to renew their policy, and it just didn't happen. And a month or two later, she called me, and she had a new husband. She said her previous husband died on the oil field, and I felt so guilty because I didn't sign him up for a life insurance policy. I'm not going to do the first part of this post, but I'm just going to go on to the second part because I tried it a couple times and I haven't been able to get it all in 90 seconds. But anyway, when I stop at these clients to renew their policy because it had lapsed, and unfortunately wasn't doing a good job and they didn't move forward with it, and a month later she stopped over or she called my office and she told Hello guys, I'm going to try this again. I was watching Landmine with Billy Bob Thornton a couple days ago. These guys were working on oil fields, and I noticed how they had a major accident and several of them died. It reminded me of a story that I had in the past where I had two clients in their early 20s, and I stopped at their house to get their policy renewed, and it just didn't happen. And a month later, she stopped over with a new husband, and she said, Hello guys, I was watching this movie a couple days ago with Billy Bob Thornton where these guys were working on oil fields, and it reminded me of this client that I had years ago. They were in early 20s, and I stopped at their house to try to renew their policy because it lapsed, and somehow I didn't work hard enough on it, or they weren't convinced, or whatever the situation may be. A week or two later, or a month or two later, the wife stopped over with the new husband. Okay, I think this is going to be the last take. I was watching Landman a couple days ago, and the movie was all about working on the oil fields, and it reminded me of this young couple a few years back. They're in their early 20s, and the husband worked on an oil field, and they had a policy that lapsed. When I showed up at their house to try to renew the policy, apparently I didn't do a good job educating them on how important life insurance is, and that both of them, they just didn't want to do it. And then a few months later, the wife calls me, and she said that she just got remarried and she wants to start a life insurance policy. And I asked her what happened. She said her previous husband, died on an oil field. And I felt so guilty since that day because I didn't do a good job educating them on how important life insurance is. It really, really broke my heart. And since that day, I've been really working really hard to educate my audience and my clients and everybody that I know on you don't have to die to use life insurance. My number's on the screen. Please call